Hey there, my fellow rechecks. Rabbit here. And I want to talk about the Arc Maul for Warhammer 40k Darktide. Alright, so as of now, probably a lot of people can say that this weapon is one of the best, if not the only best, melee weapon for the Skitarii. And well, people are right, because this thing is so good. So, if you haven't tried it already, and if you haven't, looked into this at all, I'm going to talk about the best blessings you should use. Going to talk about basic attacks, how they work, show them off, mix in heavy attacks, and we'll show a couple other things I think you might find to be very surprising. Alright, so first things first, the Arc Maul's Masteries. The blessings menu. We're going to go through all of them. Alright. So, we're going to talk about Confident Strike. Now, you don't usually see a lot of people use this, but I think that this could have some interesting interaction when you pair this with, say, Resurgence Aura and Power Overflow. The Resurgence Aura, you get 25 toughness, but most importantly, you and allies in Coherency gain 50% Coherency toughness regeneration, regardless of enemy proximity. And then Power Overflow, when at full toughness, 25% of excess toughness replenishes redistributed to each ally in Coherency. So, like a lot of people have been saying, these two talent nodes work very well with each other. You get back up to full toughness faster with certain nodes, of course, in the tree. But then when you do get up to full, you're going to be able to give the team toughness back, right? It's kind of like a rebate. Now, coming back to the blessings here, this is just another way to generate more toughness. So what it says here for Confident Strike is that you get 7% toughness on a chained hit. Alright, so I think that, depending on, how you build your talent tree, your build, you might go into really heavy melee combat type of build, and well, I think this could work pretty well. But there's definitely better things out there than Confident Strike. Right? What about Thunderous? Now, this is one of the best blessings that you can put on the Arc Maul. And every time you hit something, it gets 4 stacks of brittleness, up to a max of 16 stacks, which is 40% brittleness. Right? And if you don't know what brittleness is, either you're new to the game or you're coming back and you need a refresher. Brittleness is something where when it has it, all damage sources just get really crazy, right? So if you slap this onto a crusher, it means that not only are you doing a lot more damage, your team is doing a lot more damage to it as well. That's how cool brittleness is. What about overwhelming force? Staggering an elite or specialist enemy has a 25% chance to stun the enemy, has a 3.5-second cooldown. Well, I don't think uh, it's all that useful. Like, though, there are definitely better blessings out there that you can be using. I definitely would pass this up. I mean, it does have its niche uses. It's not going to be all too useful in lower difficulties like Heresy and below because there's not going to be as much elite and specialist enemies, but there's the potential for it being useful in Damnation, Orc, and Havoc. But there's better things you can use. What about Hammer Blow? Plus 25 impact for 3.5 seconds on hit. Can stack 5 times. Alright. And it says can generate multiple stacks per swing or push action. Alright, so this is going to make it easier to stagger and stun an enemy. So this is pretty useful. And if you're going into a heavy melee like build, you probably want to consider using this. All or nothing. You gain 1 stack of plus 8% strength per 20% of missing stamina. Can stack 5 times, up to 40% extra strength. Alright, so in a very niche build where you have a high amount of stamina and you're trying to make a push build, this can work. However, I mean, you do get the extra strength, but I think uh, there's definitely better blessings that you can use, like Hammer Blow or Thunderous, right? What about this one? Enhanced Voltaic Arcs. Arc Lightning gains plus 12 jump angle and plus 2 jump distance and can jump 2 additional times. Now, if you're going into a heavy electrocution type of build where you're running like Voltaic Emitter as well, you probably want to throw this onto the Arc Maul. But even without like the electric buildup kind of loadout, this can still be pretty good because the Arc Lightning is pretty damn strong, which I'll show later in the video. So this is another very, very good blessing to consider using. What about Execution? Plus 20% damage bonus versus staggered enemies. I mean, the weapon by itself can stagger enemies very well. They're on the right blessings, and you can stagger even faster, right? So this could be potentially a pretty good a blessing that you can use. It's not going to be as good as, say, like brittleness because that helps the entire team. But if you are looking to bump up your damage, you might want to consider using this, right? Lightning reflexes. Perfect block stuns attacker and grant you plus 25% melee damage for 5 seconds. It has a cooldown of 5 seconds, but it's really hard to pull off a perfect block because the timing of that window, it's very small. I don't really recommend using this at all because I think for the average player, right? Most people I think wouldn't be able to do this. And to pull off a perfect block, you have to throw up the block just before, like, the enemy is going to hit you with their melee attack. And the timing can be pretty hard to do. So I wouldn't use this. And, there's definitely other ones you can use in place of this one. Altgeist Overload. Now, this may seem pretty tempting to use, but the percentage chance is just so small. So it says here you get 12.5% chance to insta-kill human-sized enemies by enemies hit by arc lightning. Note that potential other triggers will not be activated on insta-kill. Now, it might be interesting to use this if you're going full arc lightning as much as possible, but I feel like, there's other things that you can use that's less RNG based, such as Thunderous. and hammer blow. Or even, where's the other one? Execution. Right, so that's the blessings, right? As far as the actual perks go, that can be whatever you want it to be. But typically people usually like throwing on extra damage versus unyielding, which is extra damage against like monstrosities, bosses, things like that. Other two that people really like using are black armored and carapace armor. So the guys that have the armor, you'll be able to hit them just a little bit harder. As far as the stats here goes, typically the mobility is going to be at 60%. People call that the dump stat, and everything else is going to be at 80%. But I kind of like this blend of 70-70. So mobility 70, penetration is 70, everything else is at 80%. And to be quite honest, I was too poor at the time to afford trying to find a perfect roll and upgrading it. But after playing with this over dozens of games, I find that this particular setup for the stats are working pretty good for me. So it's up to you, but you now know what the perfect roll looks like. All right. And there's no marks, so we only have to worry about learning one thing here. All right. So what about the move set? Well, let's first look at the light attacks. So I'm going to check it out real quick. All right. So we saw that it's a horizontal overhand. So let's look at it again. Horizontal overhand. That last overhand strike, or overhead, I mean, that's going to be perfect for hitting weak spots, which are typically going to be the head of each enemy that you encounter. Right? So what about heavy attacks? Well, let's check it out. Alright, so when we take our time, it's a overhead, and then a horizontal. Pretty simple, right? What happens if we spam it 2 times? And we'll start with the light attack. Alright, so when we get to the second part, where we get into, 4, 5, 6 on those swings, that's a, let me take another look at it again. It's 3 horizontal strikes. So this is great for clearing out hordes and hitting a lot of things at one time. Right? So what about the chained heavy attacks? Well, let's take a look. Alright, it looks like it's followed by 3 horizontal strikes. Okay, let's look at it again. See? There you go. Alright. So now we know about light and heavy spam attacks. Alright, what does the push block attack look like? Right? This is going to be very good for hitting weak spots, which again is typically going to be the head. So not bad, right? Great for single target damage. Alright. So we got all the basic stuff out of the way. But excuse me. But what about the special activated ability here? Well, let's take a look. Maybe we can just hit the big guy. That's what it looks like when we hit with 3 light attacks. So let's turn it off real quick. We're gonna regenerate it by hitting enemies. Alright, that's the most reliable way to regenerate the energy on this weapon. So now we're gonna spam 6 light attacks. Alright, it looks like the move set remains the same. So again, recharge the energy meter by hitting enemies. Okay, it's pretty much refreshed. So let's see what it looks like when we spam 6 heavies. Okay, did you see that? It looks like it's basically the same exact moveset, except that it's just electrified. Nothing's really changed. So now we know. Now you know. Alright, so again, let's just recharge everything. Okay. The arc lightning. Now, I want you to pay attention to these 3 enemies here. I'm going to focus primarily on hitting these 2, but check this out, okay? See that Dread Gunner? They just died. Alright, maybe this guy. Oh, we ran out of charge, so we gotta get it back. So what you just saw was that the arc lightning, when it kicks off, it can deal a pretty decent amount of damage to other things around you. And if you can use this on a big crowd, you can shock quite a bit of enemies. So let's see it again. There goes the Dread Gunner. Right, hopefully that gave you a good idea of what that looks like. So again, I'm going to recharge the energy on the Arc Maul. We're almost there. Alright. So, did you know that if you activate the weapon special and then you do a push block with this, well, let's see. Did you see that? You shock this whole crowd, and because we have the brittleness blessing, we're also giving them brittleness. Remember, it's a 360-degree zone around you when you do a push block, and as you can see, they all got shocky shocked. So you can do massive like AoE stagger with a shocking on this. There's a lot of potential. So we just get everything recharged. There's a lot of potential for this build for this to be built into a build that matters all about staggering an enemy. Alright, so what does this look like when we have something like this? A large cluster of tightly packed enemies. You typically only see this when you get to higher difficulty levels like, Damnation, Orc, and Havoc. So this isn't really outlandish to see something like this. Alright, So let's first see the Arc Maul, or the Arc Lightning. Wow, it arced over there, and it killed the dog. The angle and length of the arc is pretty far because it can reach both there and there. This is like 10 meters and that was like 7. Pretty cool, isn't it? Alright. So let's go ahead and get the energy recharged. Okay. Alright, so we're gonna spawn them in again. So we want this, and then, excuse me, didn't do too much damage. So I want to be in the middle. Hello. Just a little bit more. I didn't think this through. Alright, let's make a circle. Excuse me, dude. Alright, so let's see how this does when we're absolutely surrounded, right, by freaks. We want to do the electrified shock push. See, this is evidence that you can get everybody around you. Pretty damn cool, right? So there you go. That's a quick way to give out a ton of brittleness stacks to everything around you. I wonder if there's like a limit to how many things that can get this brittleness, right? Unrealistic situation of having this many, what's these guys called? Scab maulers? But what I want to see is if every single one of these dudes can get electrified from the shock push, okay? I did mess up a little bit, but it looks like they were actually able to get stunned. Interesting, okay. Well, that was a pretty cool test, alright? And as a one last thing, I want to just mention that weapon combos, your attack combos can be, made, just freeballing it. You don't have to follow like, specific patterns that people tell you, this is the best, this is the best. Well, the best thing that you can do is actually figuring that part out for yourself and doing experimentation. Right, so just as an example, let's see, I'm just going to play around, right? Light, heavy, heavy, light. Seems interesting, right? Maybe a heavy, light, light, heavy. Seems like that would be pretty good for, taking out one hard target and clearing out things around them. So heavy, heavy, and then light. Seems like that could be a pretty quick way to take down a larger target. Oh, too far now. Alright, so you can even mix in the push block. Oops, I forgot. I want to activate this. And then boom. And what I just learned is that you can actually activate the Arc Maul when you have your block up. Interesting. Doesn't update unless you look away and look back, but there you go. Alright, well, this has been a pretty short one, and if you're interested in seeing me use this in a very, very specific build, make sure you subscribe to the channel. That lets you know when I have that video go up. And I'll get that up as soon as possible. But, I appreciate it if you can help me out by also liking the video and even making a comment on the video itself. Are there any other tips that you think other people could, use to help improve their skill sets in the game? I'm dying to find out. Alright, well, thank you for your time, and I will see you all in the battlefield. Bye-bye.